second. Go ahead. Stingray 4-1.
Good afternoon, guys, and thank you for tuning in to another exciting edition of the Stingray Show. And, of course, as you can see, Brian is actually in sunglasses that say Crimson Tide in Alabama.
Yeah, I'm wearing my crimson-colored glasses today because it is time for football.
Yes, and of course, picking Alabama.
Exactly. We're going to pick who's going to win that game.
Yes.
And as you probably know what my pick will be,
yeah,
we all have the long-awaited Stingray pick.
Yes, absolutely. And so, real briefly, were you able to watch any of the games this past weekend?
A little bit. You know, me and Stingray went to the tailgate challenge at the Bell Center. The Bell Center, sorry, in Homewood. And it was a great time. We have a mini documentary coming out shortly on that, and that will be on our homepage. We get finished. We met Tennessee fans. Georgia Tech fans, you know, they had Alabama and Auburn, of course, Georgetown Hoya fans, even Oklahoma, Texas. There were fans from all over, some Penn State.
Somebody said, love the shades.
These are my crimson-colored shades, so I'm in football mode and roll tide.
Yes, that's right.
So we're going to have picks this week, too. That's going to be a big thing.
Well, real quick, what did you think about the games overall this weekend? Now, of course,
yeah, sorry, I got a little sidetracked.
That's okay.
Talking about the Bell Center.
Now, personally, I thought all the games were boring.
Yes.
Because there was not a close game at all.
I DVR'd most of them. Of course, Hawaii wasn't on TV. I didn't.
Right.
I wasn't able to record or watch the South Florida game because I had a conflict on the DVR with the Conor McGregor Mayweather fight, and I was watching that fight. Why didn't we pick that? That was the biggest game on Saturday.
I don't know, but
you were mad about it.
But what did you think about it? I mean, did you think it was competitive? I mean,
more so than I thought would be.
Right.
I think the winner of that whole day of games was the Conor McGregor and Mayweather fight because nothing else. Like you said, the BYU Portland game was so boring. You knew BYU would win
21-7 or something like that. Yeah,
it was just so boring. You knew BYU was going to win, but it just looked ugly.
And then, of course,
to, you know, man, they have to play better against LSU. You know, the Colorado State game was good until the second half. Colorado State just trounced Oregon State. It was good up until halftime. It was a shootout. State ended up winning 58-27, I think, or 37.
And then, of course, the South Florida game was a little boring at times too.
Not the first quarter.
Yeah,
that was interesting. You saw an upset coming, and bam, they turned on the motor, and they beat. I think they won like 40-something to 20-something. It was about a 20-point. And then of course the best game of the day wasn't even on TV. Hawaii scores a last-minute touchdown at Massachusetts.
Wow.
To win the game at 38-35, and it wasn't on TV.
So
Stanford and Rice could have been. That one may have been more boring.
Yes, because it was like what? It was like
62-7.
Yeah, but 38-0 at the half. That was pretty bad.
That was a bad matchup. We talked about that last week. I called it from the get-go, but hard to get a lot of teams that want to go to Sydney.
The land down under.
Yep.
All right, man. Well, are you ready to talk a little Georgia football first?
Yes, and we have a guest.
We're actually going to talk Georgia first, and then we're going to leave Alabama for last.
Okay.
If you're okay with that.
Absolutely.
All right. Well,
Save the best for last.
Yes, absolutely. I thought we would do that today. Give us just a second here. And while we're doing this, Brian, do you want to tell people real quick while we're pulling this up about the website and the Twitter?
Yeah. Remember always to follow Stingray on Twitter. Those of you that follow Stingray on Twitter, follow the show at the Stingray Show. And also MSUStingray.com. We have a new article coming out today with the top games of each week from our feature writer, Lawrence Dockery. He's going to be doing the games of the week and talking about them on the website weekly. So those will go up on Wednesday. So you'll get his take, which may be different from mine and Stingray's. But MSUStingray.com is where it's at.
Awesome, man. And all right, well, I guess we'll just turn this around here real quick and see if we can do this. And let's rock and roll. Hey, Jake.
Hey, how's it going, man?
Good. How about you, bud?
I'm doing well, buddy.
All right. Well, real quick, for the viewers, can you please describe who you are and what you do for the University of Georgia?
Well, I don't actually work for the University of Georgia. I'm employed by Rivals.com.
Yes.
I work for them covering mostly recruiting, but I do spend a very fair amount of time on the team beat, and I do attend all Georgia games to assist with our coverage.
Awesome. Well, can you tell us how excited the Georgia fans are for year 2 under Kirby Smart? Are they really getting high expectations over there?
Oh, no doubt about it, man. I mean, I think people are very excited about year 2 under Coach Smart. I think that people have a lot of expectations about where this team can go, especially when you're talking about level of talent. You know, I think that this recruiting class they just had was one of the best in Georgia history, no doubt about it. And so they want to see these young freshmen get in and make an impact. But also, you got some stars such as Jacob Eason, Nick Chubb, Sony Michel, Lorenzo Carter, Trent Thompson. Both sides of the ball have some guys that people feel like can be big playmakers and should be able to deliver this season.
Awesome. And could you tell us some guys to look for in the wide receiver position? Like you said, now, of course, they return a great stable of running backs and quarterbacks, but there's a few question marks at wide receiver, correct?
Yeah, that's true. And that has been the case for the last couple of years. They haven't really had a go-to guy in a bit. But some of the guys they'll be looking for, I think, for big contributions from this year, Riley Ridley is going to be one of those guys. He's a sophomore this year. Also be looking for Mecole Hardman to be a guy who makes an impact. He transitioned over from defensive back last season and is now playing at the wide receiver spot, handling some return duties as well. So he's a guy that I definitely think can get in there and make an impact.
Awesome. And how is the defense looking, of course, this year?
Very high expectations for this defensive group, mostly because of the experience that they're returning. You've got 3 guys in that secondary who have played a very large amount of time. 4 if you count Malcolm Parrish when he comes back from injury. That's going to be a very experienced group back there. Your inside linebackers, Natrez Patrick, Roquan Smith, Reggie Carter. The 3 of those guys have played multiple years at this point. Evan Bellamy and Lorenzo Carter are 2 guys people are looking at as potential high-round draft picks in the NFL after their senior year, so they've got high expectations. And then you've got a defensive line that has a mix of some experience and some youth, but even the young guys were forced into playing a lot last year. So Georgia fans have high expectations for what this defense should bring this year, and I think they're right to have those expectations. Everything would point to them being ready to deliver on that.
Awesome, man. And basically, they open with App State, and then they go to Notre Dame. How are you seeing the Notre Dame game sitting here right now?
That's going to be a very good test for Georgia to see how the rest of the season goes. I do think App State's going to be huge for them, no doubt. But I think that Notre Dame, anytime you get a chance to play a storied program like that in prime time at their home, it's a huge opportunity for any program. So it could be a great chance for Kirby Smart's team to take a leap forward and prove that they belong in the conversation on a national stage.
Are you buying into the media's hype that they could win the East this year?
I certainly think it's a possibility. I think that there are some roadblocks they're going to face, most notably Florida. That's a team they've struggled against in the last few years, certainly. And a lot of people are predicting them to be undefeated up until that Florida game. We'll have to see how that goes. Not necessarily sure exactly how that's going to play out just yet, but I do think that it's going to be, it's there for the taking. I think that Tennessee lost a lot of experience. South Carolina is still getting their legs under them with a new coaching staff and adopting some new philosophies as well. So there are some chances for Georgia there, and I do think that there's reason to be confident in Georgia's chances.
Hi, this is Brian, Stingray's co-host. Question for you here, Jake. Last season, Jacob Eason was split some time, took over the starting job for most of the year. Now that it's unquestionably his job, what type of improvement have you seen from him during the offseason and fall camps? And do you think he's ready for a breakout season? Because I do.
I do too. I think that you're going to see a much better Jacob Eason this year than you did last. And I will say, I didn't have a ton of problems with him last year. I thought for a freshman quarterback, he performed pretty well. And he didn't lose you a ton of games unnecessarily. So as far as I'm concerned, that's about as high as your expectations can be for any freshman. But I do think that he's made some strides this offseason. He got to go work at the Manning quarterback camp over the summer and has really worked on his downfield accuracy. He's a guy who struggled with that last year. He wasn't hitting his spots necessarily consistently, but I do think that that's an area where he's going to take a step forward. The biggest thing for Jacob is going to be how this offensive line gels, though, and how those guys are able to get in there and keep him upright, because he's a guy who has shown in the past that he needs a pretty fair amount of time.
He definitely has potential for sure. Especially in the downfield game, huge arm. And I know the ending was a little bit of a sore subject to you guys in the Tennessee game. But was that pass he threw that should have won the game not one of the prettiest deep balls you've ever seen thrown?
It was really nice. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I was in the end zone where that pass came to,
wow.
and got to see it pretty close up. And it was a beautiful throw. There was no doubt about it. And it was the kind of thing that when you talk about a 5-star quarterback, a guy who is considered one of the top pocket passers in the nation, it's what you expect to see from him, even in those early stages of his career. So you did see a few of those last year. Certainly, that throw against Tennessee was one.
Awesome. Well, I'm going to put you on the spot here for a second, Jake, if that's okay. At the end of the year, what is, in your opinion, the final record for Georgia going into the bowl season?
I'm a little torn on that. I kind of bounce back and forth between 10-2 and 9-3, and I really don't even know which games I would point to as the losses. I feel the fact of the matter is, this Georgia team over the past it seems like forever, really, has dropped a couple of games each season that they probably shouldn't, or at least struggled in some contests that they shouldn't. So I do expect that they'll get a little snake bit along the way somewhere. Somebody will sneak up on them and give them a little bit more than they can handle. But I think overall, you're looking at that 9-3, 10-2 window, and I do think they've got a very fair chance of making it to Atlanta on that record.
And coming out of the West, do you think it's Alabama or do you think it's somebody else?
Until I guess Alabama proves me wrong, I'm gonna have to go with them. I'm gonna stick with the Crimson Tide. Their talent level is just so incomparable from almost anything anybody in college football is doing. And obviously Nick Saban, we're in the middle of watching a dynasty with him. So I like the chances of Alabama to make it back there. I think if I were to point to one other team, you've got a desperate Auburn team this year, a team that's really playing for their head coach and his livelihood. They've also got a lot of studs, especially on that defensive front. So if it were not to be Alabama, I think Auburn would be my next in line.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you for your time, and please tell people how they can follow you on Twitter and on your website as well.
Sure. You can follow me at Roos Recruiting, and that's REUSE Recruiting. You can find me there on Twitter, or you can find me over at UGAsports.com. We've got tons of game previews up, visitors lists, etc. And so anything you need to know on the Dogs, we got you covered.
All right, man. Well, thank you for your time, and we will do it again soon, okay?
All right. I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Man, I thought that was pretty good, didn't you?
I did, yeah. Georgia's going to have a good team this year, and I'm sold on them. More than I'm sold on anyone in the East.
No shades?
That's why... Not right now.
Okay.
It's getting a little dark.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I think that they're head and shoulders above everyone in the East. So that's why my pick is SEC title back in the Mercedes-Benz Dome.
Alabama, Georgia?
Bama, Georgia.
Wow.
Yes. Bama, Georgia.
And if you do look at their schedule and see a potential slip-up, could they slip up at Notre Dame, Brian?
Who?
Georgia goes to Notre Dame second week.
Well, that's always a tricky game. What week? I'm not
second week. The second week.
I don't think so, but Georgia doesn't have the easiest schedule.
I know.
They're going to have some roadblocks.
And, Mississippi State travels to Sanford Stadium, too. That's going to be interesting.
I think they're going to get that one, though. I'm sorry, Stingray. But I do think Georgia will get that.
I know,
State's going to have a good year, but that's going to be one of the tougher games.
That's going to be a toss-up, yeah.
That and the Auburn game and the Alabama game, in my opinion.
Right.
It's early. There's not been any games played, but I'm believing in y'all against LSU.
Really?
So I'm sitting back and forth on that, but I could see those being the 4 losses.
Yeah,
I'm not
absolutely.
sure yet, but if y'all could get, y'all have to beat LSU or one of those teams to do. My prediction was 9-3. I'm giving y'all a lot of
leeway.
A lot of leeway here, and I cannot find this.
It's at the first. It's at the very first.
Why? It's an S. Phil Steele does not know the alphabet. He's got the SEC at the beginning. I'm used to being the AAC. Just kidding, Phil.
Well,
I'm finding Georgia here so we can look at the schedule. Okay, Georgia.
That game at Notre
State's
Dame.
Not gonna
I
be
know,
easy.
yeah.
But they'll get it because it's at home. But that's going to be a tough game. Notre Dame, at Notre Dame.
And that game's a night game, too, on NBC. That's going to be tough.
Yeah, look at Notre Dame. It could be App State, theoretically. I think they're a team that everybody's high on.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I can see where they could be undefeated to go into the bye week, October 21st. They have Sanford, Mississippi State, at Tennessee, at Vandy, Mizzou. I think Georgia's going to have a slip-up game. I don't think it's going to be App State. It could be at Notre Dame. It could be home against Mississippi State, depending on what Mississippi State team comes out. It could be in Knoxville.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're going to go in 6-1 to the bye week.
Right.
Then they have Florida, and
That's
game's going to be for the East.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to determine the East champ. Let's say I'm picking Georgia to be the East champ. They get it. They get the win in Jacksonville, 7-1. South Carolina, 8-1. Auburn, 8-2.
Wow.
Kentucky, I got them 10. I see a solid. Now Georgia Tech's gonna have a good team too, but I do them 10-2. But I'm like just like Jake. I'm kind of looking at this schedule. I'm going back and forth between 9-3, 10-2.
Right.
Yeah, because. Hey, but I'm telling you, man, since we did that interview a long time ago, I'm more sold on Auburn than you think. I think
Really?
they're going to be good. Yeah.
Okay.
I think that the unknown, the newcomer quarterback, I think they're going to hit on it this year. I think Auburn's going to be good.
Could they challenge Bama for the West?
Yeah, they could, along with LSU. I mean, Bama's going to have its challengers. I still think we win the head with the West, but
Right.
Auburn's going to be one of them.
Do you think it's going to be a challenging game Saturday night?
Oh, yeah. Bama?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It may be more than challenging.
Right.
I mean, we might get in a predicament here and there. It's going to be a really intense game. But, hey, you want nothing more for that, to start the season. The hot college game day.
And SEC Nation is actually going to Dallas for Florida, Michigan.
Okay. What do they do with the LSU game? Nothing yet. Where's it going?
Superdome in New Orleans. It's been moved to the Superdome.
So that's basically a home game now for LSU.
And it's going to be a 6:30 game at night.
That works. What time was it?
No, I'm sorry. It's an 8:30 game. 8:30 game. My bad.
Well,
I apologize about that. Yeah.
And we also, while we're on the subject, thoughts and prayers out to the people in Houston. I've got some friends that are dealing with it.
Right.
Some not quite as fortunate as others. But yeah, keep all those people in Houston that are suffering from this flood in your thoughts and prayers.
Right. Absolutely. Well, do you want to switch gears and talk Alabama?
I do. What time's our first interview want to be on? Tell them who we have coming up.
We have coming up Ryan Fowler from Tide 99.1, and we are very, very thankful to have Cecil Hurt come on.
The best. He's the best.
And
Best
also, my friend Will Lochamy will be joining us.
From the Morning Drive?
Yes.
Morning Drive with Reg. And both of those guys were able to come, and they were judges with Stingray last weekend.
Yeah.
At the Tailgate Challenge. So it was nice getting to catch up with some of those people. But, man, we have lots more fun to come.
Do you want to go ahead and let's call Ryan? Oh, yeah. And by the way, guys, if you want to, and if you really like high school football, make sure you check out high school, West Alabama Sports Central on Twitter. It is an outstanding high school sports, and you can really, really get great stuff for high school football.
All right. Well, let's call Ryan.
Okay, awesome. Do we have you? Oh, okay, awesome. Awesome, dude. Okay, well, first off, we want to thank you for joining us today. And real quick, can you explain to people how you got into the business? Give me just a second, guys. I do apologize about that. We are going to call Ryan here in just a second. That's my bad, Brian. Do we have you?
I've got you, man. Loud and clear.
Awesome. Awesome, dude. Okay, well, first off, we want to thank you for joining us today. And real quick, can you explain to people how you got into the business of doing your own radio show?
Wow. This is, I guess, the story of just being at the right place at the right time. Many years ago, 2000, I was a caller to a radio program. And it was here in Tuscaloosa, and it was Talking Sports. It was Fred Nelson and Pete Pearson. I won a trivia package, and I went in to pick up that trivia package. The guy asked me, he said, what are you doing tonight? And I said, man, I don't have anything to do. I just moved to the university and began taking classes. It was my first year here at Alabama. And I kept county high statistics that evening. Halfway through the game, halftime, he threw a headset on me and said, hey, read these stats off. And I said, whoa, no, I'm not a radio guy. Well, the blink of an eye, I began accepting things, responsibilities at the radio station, moved up to a weekly show. We started on Saturday morning. We moved to Sunday afternoon, and then we had Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday. Then we moved, and we did, since Nick Saban arrived, we've been doing it full time. I had a co-host, but I dropped my co-host probably in 2009, a lot of different things, went in a lot of different directions. But I've been, I guess, a solo show now for probably about 5-6 years, and I've been in the afternoon drive. So made the transition, and it's kind of unique, but it's going back to Alabama football. That's what we talk about 4 hours a day, 5 days a week here.
Awesome, man. Well, let's go in and talk about Alabama this year. How do you see the Tide coming off of the national championship loss? How do you see the Tide responding this year?
Well, I think Alabama's going to have a solid year. I think they're going to walk in with a little chip on their shoulder. I think they'll walk in hungry and just have a little bit different focus. I think that will pay off. I think Alabama will be a national champ by the season's end. I believe in this team. I believe in this coaching staff. I think these players are, like I said, they walk in with a little chip on their shoulder. They know how bad that feeling was following Clemson last January the 9th in Tampa.
Absolutely. And can you talk about this recruiting class, how it stacks up with other classes for Nick Saban?
Well, I think the youth on this team, you could probably make an argument that class may have been his best signing class. Now, they have to earn it on the field, but right now, during practice, during camps, this team is young, explosive. There is a lot of talent. I mean, look at it. Look at 2 deep. As talented as Alabama is, I think there was double-digit numbers that showed up on the 2 deep depth chart for Alabama, something Nick Saban released.
Absolutely. And could the wide receiver, Jurdy, could he be as good as Calvin Ridley or better?
Well, it's hard to project that right now. If they continue to progress, then I think they will.
Yes.
When you look at Jerry Jeudy, he was the A-Day MVP. He was listed as a dash behind Cam Sims in that slot receiver. So, yes, he could be a super player. But let's see. Let's see if Alabama can get him the football time. Let's see if they can, they can find a way to get him the football. That's going to be a big conversation. It's one thing to have great wide receivers. You got to be able to throw them the football and get that football in their hands.
Absolutely. And let's talk about Jalen Hurts. Now, of course, he played great for the first few games last year, but down the stretch, he struggled at times. What do you attribute that to?
I think everybody learned how to defend him. They knew his tendencies. He knew, coaches knew that he rolled to the right. He didn't go across his body very many times. He did catch Clemson sleeping on that O.J. Howard play, but they knew that his, projections that he loved to throw to the right, they were doing one read and bail. One read, if it wasn't there, take off and run.
Right.
And I think teams sort of caught up with that, and they began to attack his weaknesses. That's what college football is all about. You find the strengths, you find the weaknesses. They found found his weaknesses. I think that's what it was.
Right. Year 1 to year 2, where does he need to make the biggest jump so that he can be an elite quarterback, in your opinion?
Well, I think when you talk about Jalen Hurts, I think it's to go back. He needs to improve on the deep balls. He was 19 of 58, which is about 34% on the deep balls, passes beyond 20 yards. He's got to get that. That will help him in some of the other ways. But I think Brian Dable is going to run the football. Play action should be able to help him. But just be patient. I think Nick Saban can say it better than I do. He said a couple of weeks ago that, you look back and you look at going through, sitting in the pocket, going through his progressions. And don't bail out on the first read after it's not there. Go through your progressions. I think that's where he needs to improve. And we really won't know until Saturday evening against Florida State if he's taken those steps forward. He looks like he has, but we'll really know Saturday evening.
Right. How much, now moving on to the Florida State matchup, how much do you think we will see Moses against FSU?
You're talking about Dylan Moses?
Yes,
Well, I think he'll be played in some roles, but I don't know if I'm expecting a huge game for him.
Okay.
I don't really know if, the limited, he's not one of the starters, but he could work in there. But I think Mack Wilson may be that next guy up. And I think they'll rotate down to the side. I'm talking about Rashaan Evans. So he's playing the wheel now. But I think on an obvious passing down, he may slide over to the outside, and be able to go as a pass rusher.
Where do you see on film some places where Florida State could exploit that Alabama team?
Well, if I was Jimbo Fisher and DeAndre Francois, then I would go. I would throw at Trayvon Diggs.
Okay.
That's where I would throw. That's where I would go because he didn't have a great A-Day. No doubt he's improved, but I'd test him. That's where I'd try to find out how much he has improved.
Well, are you going to be in attendance in Atlanta?
I will be.
Awesome. How do you see, ultimately, the FSU game coming out?
Well, you're putting me on the spot, and I've been thinking
Yes.
about a prediction here. I think Alabama wins this game by about 31-17. That's my score. 31-17, Alabama wins it. Listen, you look at their defensive front. It's a fast defensive front, but there's not a lot of size.
Yes.
I think Brian Dable will take advantage of that rushing attack. If I told you they had a 218-pound defensive end, would you believe me?
Yes.
218-pound defensive end.
Yeah.
I believe Alabama's going to try to run it down their throat.
Absolutely. Well, looking at past Florida State, where do you see another potential trip up for Alabama if there is one?
Well, if they beat Florida State, I'm not sure there is one.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't see a big trip up. If it's past Florida State,
Right.
if they go in and they win by double digits, I think it's really a cruise control to the SEC championship game.
All right. Well, who do you have coming out of the East?
I like Florida. I like Jim McElwain. I just think he's a quality coordinator as far as offensive mind here in Tuscaloosa. You give him a quarterback, 10 starters returning on the offensive side of the football. I'll take him over Kirby Smart every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Man, that's awesome. All right, buddy. Well, thank you for your time. And is there anything else that you would like to plug and tell people how they can follow your show? And, of course, how they can follow you on Twitter?
Absolutely. Connect with me at Ryan C. Fowler, at Ryan C. Fowler. I do a lot of things. I do the SEC Country Podcast, the Daily Show here in Tuscaloosa on Tide 102.9. And I appreciate you having me on. I look forward to doing it again very soon.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Well,
what'd you think about that, bud?
I always love listening and hearing Ryan's take. Actually, just saw him having lunch with Martin Houston earlier at Dreamland today. You cannot get the football season going without Dreamland.
Yes, that's right.
Everybody loves it down here. But, yeah, I love listening to Ryan's show, the game. And it's just a great show. It's all Alabama talk, call in, kind of a Paul Feinbaum
Right,
format.
but just local, though.
It's just local, yeah. It's
Yeah.
not, you can only get it in Tuscaloosa. Now, they may have their own show like that down in Auburn, but
We don't know about that.
But yeah, I mean, Ryan he has his crimson colored glasses on too.
Yes.
I'm a little more tad pessimistic. I mean, Florida State, if we get past them, I do think there still are a few more chances for trip-ups. LSU is obviously going to be a tough one.
It's here, though.
Yeah, it's here, but it don't matter. It was here in 2011, and we lost that one. So let me turn over to Alabama. I just think the SEC is a little too difficult. I think you have slip-up games. Well, obviously, after Florida State, we have to get past that one first. In Nick Saban-esque terms. But LSU and Auburn are the big glaring. Those are going to be tough. They're going to be tough. And you always have. I have in my Florida State's the blockbuster. It's sitting there by itself. Then the tier below that's LSU and Auburn. Those come late. We beat we beat Florida State, though. We should go into the bye week and go into November undefeated. LSU and Auburn, the next tier. Then the next tier would be the Mississippi State, Tennessee, and Arkansas. And I say those mainly because they have some pretty hefty losing streaks going against Bama. Arkansas 10, State 9, is that right?
9, yes.
9, Tennessee 10. Those can be snapped at any moment.
I didn't know Tennessee was that long.
10. They haven't won. They haven't won since 06 in Knoxville. Yeah.
That's
unbelievable. It doesn't seem like it because they've almost beat us a few times.
Yeah, remember the Cody kick? Or the Cody block?
Cody block. Then you had the, what was the game a couple of years ago when we had to have the touchdown? 15. Seems like there was one more, but I can't recall. Probably not.
No.
LSU's the one that you're just like, oh, God. Like, they've had so many, a couple of the heartbreaking ones for LSU. They're on a streak that's growing, too.
Losing
6. 2012, just the year after that national title game when the Yeldon was a freshman, caught the ball from McCarron out of the backfield, broke their spirits. And who can forget 14? Bama had 30 seconds to get down the field and get a field goal to tie, and they did, and they won in overtime. And then the 10-0 game this year was 0-0 going into the fourth. LSU just has to be sick. Yeah, last year, 16. That was last year. I was at that game. My buddy Aaron, he likes to say, Bama's living rent-free in the Tigers' head. Mine's right now because they just can't get over it. They eat, sleep, and breathe Alabama because they want to beat us that bad. So, that's just how it works. You get a long streak against someone, they grow to hate you. You grow to hate that team. And I think Tennessee, Arkansas, and State are going to be hungry enough to give Alabama some fits. But motivation can only get you so far. Talent comes into play, and eventually you're just not good enough to beat somebody. But we'll see. But I think any of those teams, more than likely LSU and Auburn. But then your Vandy's, Ole Miss, A&M, they have no chance. Bama's
especially Ole Miss.
Yes, and Bama would be
huge favorites against Ole Miss.
Yeah, I think so. Ole Miss might come out and prove us all wrong, but I just don't see it.
Well, are you ready to call Will Lochamy, our good friend from Saturday?
We're now here we're going to talk with Will Lochamy. We're leading up still to our grand finale
of Cecil Hurt.
The great Cecil Hurt.
Yes. All right. Can you hold that for a second and tell people again how to follow our show and, of course, the Twitter page and our website?
Go to at the Stingray Show on Twitter and follow us. And also the website, msustingray.com. Make sure you go to that. We have a feature story section. We're going to do games of the week. And also, we're going to we're going to have all the rants and things like that on here. And yes, it's very sunny. You can see we have a palm tree behind us.
Yes, and you got the glasses on.
So yes, so it is sunny in here. But yeah, the website's great. Bulldog flashbacks are coming up, as well as some mini documentaries the Stingray Show is doing. They don't really quite have a name yet. Stingray Productions, whatever we decide to call them. So yeah, that'll be cool.
Go ahead. And also plug the that Twitter that you wanted to.
The football? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Also, for you guys that are high school football fans, you've got at West Alabama Sports Central, which you'll find, that's actually at West Alabama SC. And you can go on there and follow it for West Alabama High School Sports.
Okay, awesome. And so let me go over here to Skype and see if Will Lochamy is ready. And we also joined him and some other people at the Bell Center this past weekend, and that was pretty fun, was it not? Brian, I'm talking to you, bud.
Oh yeah. The Bell Center, I had a lot of fun with that. I mentioned it a lot earlier, but I know it was a lot of fun. I eat a lot of food to the point that I couldn't really eat anymore that day.
Right.
So it was a lot of fun.
Give us just a second, guys. And guys, are we having audio issues? Because we just had someone say that we have some audio issues. So please let us know if you are hearing this right now.
Trying to watch through the Facebook page. Someone's trying to watch that doesn't have a Twitter. So it seems that they'll be having issues. So
we're not having an audio issue. Somebody just said no. Okay, so we're good to go.
We're going to have to get this streamed through the website.
We're going to have to. We're going to have to find a way.
We need to switch to YouTube Live. You can go on YouTube and set up. I watched a high school football game that way last week. Hopefully we can get that done. So these will go directly to the site, and they'll be there later as well.
Good deal. So, thank you.
Thank you guys for the feedback.
And guys, do y'all have any questions for us while we are waiting on Will Lochamy? Do y'all have any questions for us? I should say, about this upcoming weekend.
What's taking Lochamy so long?
Oh, there he is. He's online now.
He's finishing up lunch.
I guess so.
Come on, boy.
Give us just a second, guys. Hey, Will.
Man, can you see me or out the front of the car?
Give me just a second. Cannot see anything right now.
Okay. Let's see. Let's try. Oh, for some reason the volume's coming out of the earpiece. Let's see.
There should be a button. There should be a button that down at the bottom that has like a video camera on it, and if you click that, it should pop up.
All right, let's see. How about?
Yes.
There you are.
What's going on, man?
Just in the carpool.
Oh man, we thought you had a wreck.
That is not good.
Thought you had a wreck.
So,
there you are.
So, how are you doing, bud?
Good. Let's see. I gotta get you on this tripod here.
It's like an earthquake.
All right. Let's see. Hang on one sec, guys.
Okay. All right.
All right. Are we already recording? You're probably already recording.
Yes, we are.
You're live.
It's all good, dude. It's all good. No problem.
I bet Cecil Hurt had these same problems.
Yeah.
He didn't. Cecil's not coming on in video.
Oh. Done?
No, we cannot get.
Again. Let's see. I gotta get a fancier tripod. All right. Let's see.
Awesome, dude. Well, would you please, for our viewers, tell people who you are and what you do, please?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Lochamy. I used to host a TV show called the Iron Bowl Hour, which is about Alabama and Auburn football. Then I got hired to be on the SEC Network, and I did that for a few years on the Paul Feinbaum show. I was on there basically 5 days a week. And now I host a morning show in Birmingham, Alabama, and Tuscaloosa, Central Alabama. And it's not about sports. So that's interesting that I've talked about sports for like 5 or 6 years nonstop. And now all of a sudden I'm paying attention to like politics and stuff like that. But of course my love is still college football. So I pay attention to Stingray as much as possible.
So your show's the Morning Drive with Reg?
Yeah, it's called the Morning Blend.
Oh, Morning Blend. I'm sitting here calling you the wrong thing. So,
no, it's all right.
Does he ever let you come on the Coffee House?
Yeah, so he's been doing the Coffee House show for like 20 years.
Yeah, I listened to that when I think, was it 107.7 The X then?
Yeah.
When I was in junior high. It's a great show.
I was in high school when he started, so he's an old man.
Wow.
Well, can you talk to our viewers about what happened this past weekend up at the Bell Center? That was because you guys have been a judge longer than I have.
Yeah, sure. The Bell Center in Birmingham, it's a fantastic organization that helps children with disabilities ranging, any kind of disability, up to the age of 3, I believe. And they only take private donations. They don't take any money from the city or the state, and they do these fundraisers. And the Tailgate Challenge is one of the best ones because it kicks off the football season. All the different schools are represented. People come out, cook their favorite tailgate food, and then Stingray and myself and my brother and the guys from the round table on Jocks, we get to go out there and eat all the food and judge them, be very judgmental. What was your favorite food, Stingray?
It was probably the Blue Cross and Blue Shield shrimp and potato. That was really good.
Yeah. They got that corporate money. They can afford all the shrimp.
Yes.
Hey, that margarita won. The one that was so strong. It did, yeah. That was the Texas.
That was Florida, right?
Texas.
Texas.
Oh, Texas.
The jalapeno margarita.
Ooh, it was good.
Man, that was awesome. Well, how excited are you for college football to kick off actually tomorrow night?
Man, I'm so excited. And here's the thing, I've honestly not paid that much attention up until the last week or two. People had reached out for me to do some sports shows because that's been all I've done for a few years. And I had to just tell them no because I didn't want to look like an idiot. Just because I wasn't paying enough attention to really talk knowledgeably. So I just now started paying attention, and I knew you'd go easy on me.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about some of those games this weekend. Alabama and Florida State. How do you see that one playing out?
Yeah, I don't know how you can go against Alabama. Obviously Florida State's going to be a great team, but dude, Alabama coming back and Jalen Hurts. That kid, he improves his accuracy like this much, and he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And I think him playing the way he played as a true freshman last year, it's going to be interesting to see this year. Just how good can they possibly be? And the answer is really, really good.
Right. Now, are you buying the hype of Stidham down at Auburn?
Here's the only reason I kind of am. That kid seems to have an air about him, and just this confidence that you haven't seen in a while. He didn't seem to be shaky, whether it's on the field in scrimmages or in press conferences. So until he proves me wrong, and he's under Gus Malzahn offense, so he might prove me wrong pretty quickly. But
right.
Until he does, I got to believe it.
I got you. Well, how much have you kept up with the Ole Miss situation?
Oh, as much as possible, because that's been one of the more fun things to watch in the off season. But how involved were you in that, Stingray? Did you have anything to do with that?
Of course, I did not. No, not at all.
Did you know about it before the news was breaking?
A little bit, but not much. No.
Stingray was actually at you were in Laurel, Mississippi. The news broke, and they were at what was it called? The Bulldog Quarterback Club?
Yeah, it was a Colorado dog.
It broke while they were all in a big Bulldog congregation.
Have you you basically got to tell the Bulldogs.
Yes, that Hugh Freeze was gone.
That's too perfect. I mean, because there were rumblings before that came out. People already kind of knew, like, hey, wait a minute, there's an escort's number on here, and of course they were trying to push it to the side. But I could not believe when it broke the way it did, and it broke during my evening radio show, and so I had people, tweeting at me about it.
Right.
But I still didn't know he'd resigned. I just heard, like, oh, there's a controversy. And it wasn't until I got off the air that I realized, like, wait a minute, he's resigned.
Yes.
But now all of a sudden, I mean, what's going to happen with that team? How bad are they going to be?
I don't know. And, of course, the Ole Miss hearing is coming up September the 11th, so we should know by then.
Never forget that it's on September 11th.
Yes, that's right. Well, Will, who do you have ultimately coming out of the West? Do you think it's Alabama?
Yeah, I do think it's Alabama until they show me otherwise. You'd be kind of silly to go against Alabama. I think this year the SEC is in that position of, for a while it was like everybody's really good except a couple of teams. There's always, Vandy or Kentucky, I guess. But now it seems like there are only a few good teams, in my opinion. Maybe 4 or 5 good teams, and then everybody else is kind of on the lower tier. So, I don't think Alabama and Auburn, maybe LSU, those are the 3 that are going to kind of easily work their way to the top of the pack.
Okay, and what about over in the East? Do you think it's Florida or Georgia?
That sounded way too close to Florida-Georgia line there, Stingray.
Yeah.
I don't like how you put those together that way.
Right.
Yeah, dude, I think Florida's going to be kind of shown to be the fraud that maybe we thought they were, and they just somehow kept working their way to the top. So I feel like this is Georgia's year.
Okay.
So, what about this weekend? Obviously, the game of the week's Alabama and Florida State. Never has a number 1 preseason team faced a top 3 team. I guess you could say essentially it's the best season opener in history.
It's the Daytona 500, if you will.
Yes,
yes. Off of the Super Bowl.
Yes, and one team's going to start 0-1, and it's unfortunate, but the line's 7. Bama's favored by 7. What are you thinking about this game? What do you think we should expect on Saturday night out of this matchup?
I think you should expect it to start, first of all, high-powered, where both teams come out, shooting. But with that said, I think it's going to calm down pretty quickly, and it won't be until that second half and even fourth quarter until maybe Alabama pulls away in that one. But here's the good thing for both of these teams. With a first game like this against, top 3 opponent, if you lose, it's not like you're going to drop out of the top. You wouldn't even drop out of the top 10 probably unless it's...
They might not drop out of the top 5.
Right, exactly. So first game, you have the rest of the season to work your way back up. The loser of this is not out of the conversation at all, and the fact they're still square in it. So, this is a smart move by these coaching staffs to have, scheduled this game because it does nothing but help them. If you win it, then all of a sudden you've won a top 3 matchup. If you lose it, it doesn't hurt you that bad. You're still right there in the middle.
Theoretically, both teams could be back in the playoff hunt by the end of September, so I don't think it hurts.
Absolutely.
Well,
they're not a conference game, obviously, so that helps as well.
Absolutely. Well, Will, how do you see Mississippi State doing this year?
Oh, you're going to ask me that, Stingray?
Yes.
Look, they're going to be the best team in Mississippi.
Right.
How about that?
Yes.
They're going to be the best team in Mississippi. And they've got plenty of jokes that they can make about Ole Miss all year. So they have that going on. Here's the thing. I do think they're one of the better teams in the West, but they're not in that top. They're not in that top 3.
Yes.
And so, they're going to have to work their way, but I think they're going to be respectable. If that, and towards the end of last year, they were already showing some clear signs of like, hey, this could be a good team. So I've got them, I think, 4th in the West.
Okay.
Which is not saying a ton, but yeah.
I was telling Steven, Bama gets past FSU. I think the only teams that can challenge them or or really be a bump in the road for their season will be Auburn and LSU. And theoretically, stating that I think that Auburn and LSU are the only teams who could compete with Alabama for the West title. If we don't see Alabama there, it'll be LSU or Auburn, in my opinion. Then you have the Mississippi State, Arkansas fall under that. And I think Ole Miss and A&M are down at the bottom. I don't think that Kevin Sumlin has a job by Thanksgiving. I'm one of those. I think A&M is going to be bad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. As we've seen in the past, those minus Ole Miss, Arkansas, Mississippi State, A&M, any of those teams have the chance to all of a sudden have a couple upsets and be right up there.
Absolutely. Well, if you had to pick one sleeper team in the SEC, who would it be, Will?
He's wanting you to say State.
No. I'm just asking.
Well, here's the thing. Based on the last few games of last year, it is State.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I mean, I think you have to say it is, and now we'll just see if they can recreate some of that magic.
I agree.
Absolutely. All right, buddy. Well, thank you for your time, Will. And is there anything that you would like to plug, like maybe your cooking show that's coming up, or how people can follow you?
Yeah, well, the food show I'm doing, it won't debut for another year. We're already filming it now. But yeah, just follow all over social media at Will Lochamy. We'll be active. Lochamy Brothers will be active on Twitter as well this year during football season, making fun of all the teams equally. So follow on there for all the fun.
Are you going to be on the Food Channel one day? Because I watch that channel a lot. You don't know how much. Bizarre foods and all that stuff I watch. Delicious Destinations.
And dude, you would love my new job.
I'm gonna watch it.
I basically get to go to all these really cool, unique food places and eat like the best food around.
Oh man! And you don't even have to pay for it, right? Because it's for your show.
No, I get paid.
Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I need to get in that business. Heck with the sports thing.
Right, that's right. All right, Will. Well, thank you for your time, bud. And we'll do it again soon. All right, thanks. All right, bye-bye.
I think I want to have a food show.
You think so?
Yeah, would you do it?
Yeah, Stingray and Brian's cooking show. Stingray and Brian's cooking hour.
Yeah, exactly. I think I would do more eating than cooking.
Yeah.
That's all good. I'm really, as soon as that show comes out, I'm going to be all over it.
Oh, yeah.
I think it'll be a good show. Will's always a good guest to have, and hopefully we're going to have him on a lot this season.
Yes.
The football season progresses.
So it should be pretty good. But what did you think about what he said about the best in Mississippi? I thought that was pretty funny myself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Southern Miss is going to be down without their quarterback.
Maybe not.
You think they're going to be really good?
I think they could win Conference USA. I really do. Now, whether they beat Kentucky or not this weekend, I don't know. But I think they could win Conference USA.
They've got a chance to. But yeah, I think that Mississippi State will be the best. Like I said, I called them 9-3. I'm probably gonna eat crow on that, but I'm a believer that they're 8-4, 9-3. I think they're going to be a surprise team. But I think I think all of those 3 or 4 losses come against Bama, LSU, Auburn. Maybe they get one of those, but if they don't, I still think they're 9-3, 8-4, but in 4th place. The West is gonna be good again.
Yeah.
And I think you'll have Auburn, LSU with the same records, about 9-3.
And that
10-2 will be a little gracious, but one of them can get that far, Auburn or LSU, but they'll still have losses in conference to each other. So if State finished 9-3, we could have a 9-3 4th place team in the West.
Right.
So I do think that the West is going to be strong again.
And I'm going to tell you what, that Auburn LSU game is going to be stout this year.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I mean, because that was ultimately the one that lost Les Miles his job last year. So now Auburn goes back to Baton Rouge.
Would Malzahn start getting some heat if they lost that one?
Probably not.
They have to go back to Baton Rouge?
Yeah, because last year it was on the Plains. It was at Auburn.
Okay. No, I thought you were saying like they go back for the second year in a row. Now, you know, Florida has to go to LSU 2 years in a row. So I was about to say, you got the wrong game.
Right.
Okay.
But, yeah, Auburn, LSU's got a chip on their shoulder. Hey, you beat us, and our coach got fired because of you.
They've got a chip on their shoulder for everybody.
So,
LSU fans are just angry right now.
So I'm just like, that's going to be...
They're just looking for somebody to be mad at.
Absolutely. Well, are you ready to call Cecil Hurt?
Yes.
And talk about
Cecil.
College football?
Okay, it's time for the big one.
Give us just a second here, and here we go. Let me pull up his number here. Give me just a second, guys. And is there anything like a sponsor that you would like to talk about?
Oz Music. If any of you like, whether it be CDs, different genres, to vinyl, Oz Music in Tuscaloosa is going to have all your needs. And we thank them for being a sponsor for our show. And just go check out Oz Music off 15th Street.
Absolutely. And I did not want to give out Cecil's number on the thing here. So that's why I have the camera at you and not on the computer. Because I think he might be mad.
This is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I think he might be mad.
This is like if you gave out the President Trump's number. I mean, Cecil is a big deal. He's been writing for over 20 years, I believe, for Tuscaloosa News, maybe longer than that. He's probably fixing to tell you, but I know I've been reading his articles since I was a kid in the Tuscaloosa News. Seemed like he worked for Birmingham News, or at least had his articles put in the Birmingham News when I was younger, because I didn't get Tuscaloosa News in Jasper, and I know that I read his articles. So I wanted to say at some point, I'll ask him. It seemed like he worked for the Birmingham News, as well.
Pull up Firefox, please. So yeah, check
have
it.
This ready, Stingray?
Huh?
Why didn't you have this ready?
Man, you got to be kidding me. I'm ready, dude.
We got to get. It's time for Cecil.
Come on now. All right, give us a few more seconds here, and yeah. So I've liked all of our guests today. How about you?
Yeah, every guest we've had has been very informative, giving us a lot of information to go on, and I've found them all to be very very interesting.
And tell you what, we got picks later on too.
Yep. It's going to be a little bit longer show than normal.
Yeah, we're at an hour and 2 minutes right now. Cecil.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Stephen Ray with the Stingray Show. How are you doing?
Great. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Real quick, if you would, tell everybody, please, who you are and what you do.
Sure. This is Cecil Hurt. I'm the sports editor of the Tuscaloosa News and TideSports.com. Cover Alabama. Have covered the team since 1982.
Awesome.
How did you at one point? This is Stingray's co-host Brian. Did you at one point Did you work for the Birmingham News?
No, I've worked in
Okay.
my whole career.
Okay, I thought you had, because I've been reading your articles since I was born in '85, since I just got into sports in the early '90s. So big fan here.
Right. Thank you.
How do you see this Alabama team responding this year after losing the national championship game last January the 9th?
That's a great question. You know, the last time that they had to deal with that, they bounced back and won the championship. They lost in the semifinals in 2014, bounced back and won the championship in 2015. But you never know. Sometimes it's easier to get motivated. Coach Saban certainly preaches it throughout the off season to not waste a mistake, to not fail to learn the lessons that kept you from finishing the year before. So sometimes it's a motivator. Sometimes it works in the other direction. Sometimes teams lose some chemistry. But in general, he's done it both ways. He's won the championship after losing the championship and won consecutive championships. So it depends on the leadership of your team. I think this team will respond well.
What do you think, Cecil? Where do you think that there may be some weaknesses from what you've seen on the Alabama team that Florida State may try and exploit on Saturday?
Well, they don't have the experience that they had in the defensive front seven last year. They've got talented players, but they have guys that haven't played very much. So I'm sure Florida State will try and run some things that will confuse them, try and make them miss assignments, leave gaps. I'm sure they look for mismatches with their offense against the Alabama defense. The kicking game is all new. It'll be a new snapper, new holder, new kicker. I'm sure Florida State will try and put the punter is not new, JK, but new place kicker. I'm sure Florida State will try and put pressure on, see if they can't get a blocked kick, change the game on special teams. That's just two areas. You know, every team has its strengths and weaknesses, but there's always something.
Go ahead.
And I think that it's probably, I don't think it's any secret that they're probably, Jimbo Fisher's probably going to go at Diggs, the new corner who's converted over from wide receiver last year.
Sure, if they can protect Francois, that's been the key for them, is giving their quarterback enough time to do those things.
Yes.
But they'll try and take advantage of every inexperienced player on the defense and do some things where they think they can win some matchups. They'll try and get a size mismatch on Anthony Averett. They'll try a wide variety of things. Jimbo's a great offensive mind, and you look for mismatches to try and create those.
All right. Obviously, Jalen Hurts was a really good quarterback last year for Alabama. However, down the stretch, he struggled a little bit. What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think that they play very good teams. When you talk about down the stretch, you're talking about Florida, Washington, Clemson, very good defensive teams, nationally ranked teams. So they watched a lot of film and made a decision that what they would give Jalen and what they would take away. I think that's the main part of it. I don't think that it was any failure necessarily on Jalen's part. He still won 2 of those games and came within the third and going undefeated and winning a championship.
Right.
But defensive coordinators are smart. They see what a quarterback can do. They see what he can do best. They take that away and they challenge him to make plays in other ways. So Jalen's got another year under his belt. He's had an entire offseason to look at those things, to learn from how teams defended him, what mistakes he made, what decisions he made that he'd like to make a different decision, and how to better exploit what's left. So he'll be fine. He was a true freshman, starting at the highest level, and people expect perfection. I understand that. Fans expect that, but it'll be a learning experience for him.
Going back, Cecil, you mentioned you talked about the kicking game. Even when we do have everyone back, it seems like the kicking game's always a sore spot that fans want to turn to. Like a college kicker's not supposed to miss any kicks, blah blah blah.
Right.
But this year, I've heard, and you can tell me if this is true or not. I heard some of the in fall practices, things like that, at days it looked to the point where we may have J.K. Scott kicking field goals. Is there any truth to that? Is it a true concern?
Yeah, J.K. would be capable of that, but I think as the August drills went on, the younger guys, Andy Papanastos, those below us, got a little better. I think that they may use one as they did with Jeremy Shelley and Cade Foster, one for short range, one for long range. And again, you also have a snapper and a holder involved in the equation, and they're also new. I had somebody say to me, well, they ought to let Justin Thomas stand there with a golf club and knock it through, and he could do that. But imagine what kind of drive Justin would hit if somebody had to hike a golf ball between their legs backwards to a guy who put it on the tee, and he had to hit it on the run. It's a complicated process. You have to practice it, work on it, and they'll be okay. They'll get it down.
Okay.
Never know. There's no way in practice to replicate the situation if somebody's out there with 3 seconds left and it's a 1-point game.
Yes.
You've got a 40-yarder to win it.
Yes,
That
sir.
kind of pressure is something you cannot do in practice. Some guys handle it, some guys don't.
One thing I also want to ask you about is ever since the 8A, we had some early enrollees, and from the get-go, these guys have looked outstanding, from Najee Harris to Jerry Jeudy to the Dylan Moses, and there's even more. Ruggs got on campus this fall. You had the guys come in the fall. And then another enrollee is the quarterback, Tua. And one thing that I wanted to have you talk about is how big do you think some of these freshmen, how big can their contributions be? And do you think that Tua will play a lot? And I was going to leave it to you to pronounce his last name because I've still not got that down yet.
Tagovailoa.
Tagovailoa.
I think that it is a lot easier to say Tua. I would be a little surprised if he played against Florida State, but maybe he will. It's going to depend on how the game goes, but I think most people expect a close game. I think if it is a close game, you don't change quarterbacks away from your experienced quarterback. So at other positions, Jedrick Wills may start at tackle. He's that good. That's an example of a freshman who will obviously play a lot. Alex Leatherwood is equally good, I think. It's just a matter of having Jonah Williams in front of him. But both those guys will make an impact. Najee Harris will make an impact. Certainly, you mentioned Henry Ruggs and Jerry Jeudy. I'd add Devontae Smith as a wide receiver that could make an impact defensively. Dylan Moses for sure, and linebacker probably Chris Allen as well. So there's a pretty good list of freshmen who could play. Having gone through spring is a big advantage for the ones that did. It's almost like you're not a true freshman if you have those 20 practices under your belt. Again, how they're going to respond against a top 5 team on a neutral field with half the crowd pulling for them, half the crowd pulling against them, we'll have to see. But physical ability, athletic ability, they're outstanding.
Yeah, it seems that this early enrollee thing's become quite a big phenomenon. South Carolina had the quarterback, Bentley, enroll graduate a year early. I don't remember that happening in the 90s when Stallings and people were there. It's like everybody came in August. But it's happening more and more now that kids are graduating early.
Yeah, John Parker did it.
Okay.
John Parker gray-shirted, but came in, went through the weight room, and was able to go through the spring. So it's not entirely new, but what's new is the numbers of players that do it.
Mm-hmm.
You have, out of a 25-person class, you'll have 60-70% of those in spring practice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference, and that's the changed, and almost everybody's getting their quarterback.
Yeah.
Very rare.
In a gray shirt.
Quarterback can at least go through spring.
Yes, and a gray shirt counts as nothing. As long as you're not on scholarship in the fall, you can still take your red shirt year and everything, correct?
Right, that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Well, obviously they're not doing that with Tua. I think it'd be an unusual situation. Mac Jones will probably red shirt, but again, that's par for the course these days. Most programs do that.
All right, let's switch to another SEC school real quick. How surprised were you, Cecil, about how everything has unfolded at Ole Miss?
Well, that's a long and complicated question, and it's hard to answer until it's concluded.
Right.
Did I ever, at any point, think an NCAA investigation was good? No. Was I ever really convinced that it was about women's basketball and track? And no, I wasn't. I knew that there would be a football component, or I suspected strongly. I won't say I knew, but I suspected strongly there would be a football component.
Mm-hmm.
But it's taken so many twists and turns, I don't know that anybody could anticipate that. And we still have to wait until September for a hearing. What you'll hear after the hearing is that Ole Miss fans will say it went great and they're not going to get in any more trouble. And Mississippi State fans will say that Ole Miss is going to get the death penalty. So,
yes.
It will fall somewhere between that. That's my prediction.
Okay.
So, I'm surprised. I'm not shocked. And with that said, that's not a shot. I don't want to see anybody in the SEC go on probation.
Yes.
Whether it's Ole Miss, Auburn, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, or Tennessee, it doesn't do anybody any good.
Mm-hmm.
Punishes a lot of players who really had nothing to do with whatever the violations were.
Are you buying into all the hype down there on the plains with Malzahn and Stidham?
Well, I'll certainly buy into Gus Malzahn being able to put an effective offense on the field because he's done it before. Did it with Nick Marshall. They put up a lot of points on people when they've gotten good quarterback play. Stidham has played a limited amount at Baylor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much you can read into that. He obviously has some ability. We'll see how that holds up over the course of a Southeastern Conference season. But
Yes.
if you are a glass half full kind of person, like an Auburn fan should be about that, then they'll be very good. Because
Mm-hmm.
that's been very good when he's had good quarterback play.
All right, and let's go back to the Alabama-Florida State game. Do you have a prediction and a score?
I don't have a score. I'll do that
Okay.
tomorrow, but I would, Alabama's about a 7-point favorite right now. I think Alabama will win. I don't know that I would lay the 7 points with much confidence, but I think it's a very evenly matched game.
Awesome. Well, Cecil, thank you for your time, and would you like to tell our viewers, preview any story that you got coming up, or how they can follow you on Twitter?
Yeah, I'm just at Cecil Earth. It's my name. Mainly college sports, a little bit of a few other things. I have a few followers, and it's a good group, and I look forward to the college football season. That's when I get the most attention, for better or worse. Usually for worse. So again, thank y'all, and I think everybody's glad to have SEC football back and ready for another season.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Glad to do it.
All right. All right.
Yeah, what I was about to say is I think I heard from talking with Tuscaloosa News' editor that on Cecil's Twitter, people from all over the state, Mobile, possibly people from Atlanta, other states are following Cecil
Mm-hmm.
and subscribing to the Tuscaloosa News just so they can see his article. So
Yes.
Cecil is a mainstay. in Alabama football coverage here in the Tuscaloosa area. I've been covering Bama football since '82, before we were born, and I just feel bad. It's a great opportunity, but whoever one day has to replace him is going to have to. He's taken a long time perfecting his craft and building his his reader base.
It may be Aaron Suttles, because Aaron Suttles works for the Tuscaloosa News.
We have a Suttles on. Suttles on.
Not today. Not today. No, I think we've hit our max on guests.
Yeah, just about.
So
we still have another though, right?
No. Oh, yes. All right. So
no love for Richard.
I completely forgot. Well, it's not. It's a weather guess.
Well, it don't matter. I'm gonna tell him you said that.
No.
He's just a weather guess.
No, dude, don't do that.
He would think it's funny.
Right. All right. Give me just a second here, and but overall, I thought what Cecil said was pretty good.
Absolutely. I mean, Cecil's.
I'm gonna put it back on.
Cecil's take on Alabama football is the only take. I love to read what he has to say about the games, whether it's upcoming or it's a game that's been played, last week. But I look forward to watching the game, reading the analyses, especially Cecil Hurts.
Yeah, he's pretty good, and we want to. Actually, what I would like to do is I would like to take any questions that our viewers might have. Do you guys out there have any questions for Brian and I about this upcoming football season?
Who's going to be you guys' sleeper? Let's say who's going to get into the New Year's Six out of the group of six. Who's going to get in? I like Colorado State, and I also like South Florida. I think those two are going to be contenders. But what's everyone else's take? Any love for Appalachian State?
Stingray, am I going to Atlanta? No, I am not. Are you going to Atlanta?
No, I'll be watching from my home.
Watching it for free.
Yes, I would love to go, but just couldn't make it work. I've got high school football Friday night, and it's going to be going to be staying
and
home.
The tickets prices were outrageous,
too.
I
didn't get a ticket either. So, I pick and choose my away games. So I usually try to make one a year. I was thinking about trying to do Vandy this year. Wanting to go find a reason to go back to Nashville.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I've never seen a game at Vandy, so I'm trying to eventually, slowly but surely, knock out all
the
SEC
state
schools.
I've been to State, Alabama.
I'll be at that one, but that's not like an away game to me. It seems like a home game because we're going to be in State tomorrow,
right? For the quarterback club, and we're
the quarterback club, and they have rescheduled the Yale.
How about
supposed to get bad weather tomorrow night, so that's going to be moved to the 14th.
Okay.
So we hope to be at that. I've got to check my schedule. I just heard about this on the way into Tuscaloosa today.
Okay.
So hopefully we'll be able to do some video there. Yes, breaking news. I think there's supposed to be a chance of tornado and severe weather in Mississippi, East Mississippi, West Alabama. I've heard that the high school games are going to be on Friday, though.
Well, that's good. All right, Bud. Well, let's go on ahead, and we've got a brand new segment that we are about to launch to you, and it is where we get our Chief Meteorologist Richard Scott from WVUA. He is going to give you guys a preview of the weather for all of the games every single week.
All right.
Have you got anything to add to that?
Another segment we've also talked about doing is on the guests. Stephen and I like to get people's takes as far as radio personalities, television personalities, newspaper people. But we're thinking about doing during our pick'ems, which the next week that we're on, having a fan of the week come on and give us their take on all the games and get you guys. We want you guys, our viewers, And listeners, we want to get you guys' opinions too.
Yep. All right. Well, let's go ahead and call Richard, and let's get it done.
He's just a weather host.
Don't do that, man. Don't say that.
But he watches the video. Will he not watch it?
I don't know.
I'm just making fun of him. I'm just kidding.
Hey, Richard.
Hey, Stephen Ray.
Hey, man. How you doing?
Doing good. Hey, can you hear me good?
I can, and we can see you good too. We can see you good.
Sounds good.
Awesome. Well, go ahead and tell everybody real quick who you are and what you do for WVUA.
Yes, Stephen, my name is Richard Scott. I'm the chief meteorologist for WVUA. You can see me weeknights, 5, 6, and 10 o'clock, Monday through Friday. And of course, Stephen Ray, we've known each other for, about 10 years now. So for a long time. We go way back.
Absolutely. All right, well, are you ready to start talking about some weather for the SEC games?
Yeah, let's talk about some weather. I think we've got some good news for most of the games, Stephen.
Okay, awesome. Well, what can people expect right now for the Alabama game over in Atlanta?
You know, with Harvey, Stephen, we've been looking at for a while now. It looks like Harvey's going to get out of the way in time for Saturday. It's kind of moving faster. And I think by the game time, now obviously the game's inside, so the weather's going to be perfect. But for people traveling to Atlanta, I don't think there's going to be any issues at all. Temperatures should be in the mid-70s to upper 70s at kickoff. And, all the rain's going to be out of there, so there's not going to be any travel issues. Now, Friday night, there will be some issues closer to Atlanta, but that's going to be getting out of here pretty early Saturday.
Awesome. Well, what about down on the plains at Auburn as they start their season against Georgia Southern?
Yeah, hey, also good-looking weather for that. Stephen, that's a little bit of a later game, 6:30. Yes. Of course, the Bama game's at 7 o'clock Central, but the Auburn-Georgia Southern game is going to be at 6:30. Temperatures should be somewhere in those upper 70s now. Again, kind of like Atlanta, Harvey kind of helping us out a little bit. We're going to have some dry air working in on the backside of that, so I don't think we see any issues for the Auburn game. Now, obviously, that down to Jordan-Hare Stadium's outside, so that is a very important forecast. Alabama's forecast indoors, so that's not as important, but our friends over at Jordan-Hare looking good for that. And, Stephen, one good thing, this time of year, humidity is usually awful in the deep south. I think this time the humidity is actually going to be pretty low for the Auburn game as some dry air works in, again, from the northwest.
Awesome.
What about, Richard, this is Brian, Stingray's co-host here.
Brian,
how are you? Doing well. Now, what about the A&M game out in Pasadena? Do you have the weather update for that one?
Hey, it's incredible. Our friends that are heading out west towards southeast Texas, it's been terrible.
Yes.
Over the Pasadena area. It's been unbelievable.
Really?
Around Houston, some areas have seen over 50 inches of rain, which is just unreal. But I think for that game, the weather's going to be absolutely fantastic. I mean, the dry air finally comes in. Remind me, what time is kickoff for that game?
For the A&M game is on Sunday.
Yeah, it'll be a day later.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, Sunday.
Yeah, no problems at all, certainly for that game on Sunday. The whole weekend's looking fantastic.
Awesome.
And now we also, Stephen and I were talking earlier, may not be affecting Saturday, but I'm hearing tomorrow night and Friday there was some threat, but the high school football games are going to go on in West Alabama, maybe East Mississippi. But, however, tomorrow night, Mississippi State did cancel the outdoor event in their stadium, in Davis Wade Stadium, the cowbell yell. So is there supposed to be some pretty bad weather leading into the weekend?
For people listening and watching here in West Alabama, East Mississippi, it looks like the threat for anything severe will come sometime on Thursday and Thursday night. By Friday, looks like it's going to wrap on up. Hey, for high school football, for Central and West Alabama and East Mississippi, there's not going to be any trouble at all. In fact, low humidity takes over. It's going to really feel good around here. In fact, we really bumped the numbers down in terms of the temperatures. Also, in terms of, the humidity is going to be lower on Friday. Harvey really helping us out for high school football games happening Friday night. And for college football, hey, guys, for across much of the country on Saturday for college football, not just in the SEC, but all across the country, there's not going to be much out there other than some rain along the East Coast. It really looks like this is going to be a pretty quiet Saturday nationwide.
Well, man, that's wonderful. Well, do you want to make a pick for the Alabama-Florida State game this weekend?
You know, I was born and raised in West Alabama. Of course, I'm a Bama fan. I went to college for meteorology at Mississippi State, so I've kind of got a weird tie there. You know, who do I pull for, Mississippi State or Alabama when they play each other later this season? But for the Bama game, roll tide. I think Bama's going to take on Florida State pretty good. But, you know, I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous.
Yes.
Steve and I were talking earlier. You know, this is a pretty tough opening game for Alabama. Usually, you know, we play kind of almost like a high school team starting off, but this one's going to be a tough game. I'm a little worried, but I think Bama's going to pull it off. And, hey, Mississippi State, I want to share this. I think they're going to blow this game out big time. They ought to just stomp Charleston Southern, so I don't think there's going to be any problems with that game.
And does the weather look pretty good over there for a 3 p.m. kick?
Yeah, you know, I want to mention this. There's going to be a lot of sun back out, so it's going to be over Starkville. I'd be honest, this time of the year, we still got a fairly high sun angle. I would take the sunscreen because it's going to be a deal where sunburn will get you pretty quick, especially right around kickoff time. Now, later in the evening, that won't be a problem. Temperatures will be back to mid-80s, so it's going to be kind of warm, but guys, the humidity for that game is going to be pretty low.
Okay, wonderful. All right, Bud. Well, thank you for your time, and tell everybody once again how they can follow you on Twitter, and of course how they can see you on WVUA.
Yeah, watch us on WVUA 23 for local to Central or West Alabama. We cover the Birmingham TV mark. You can check us out. Most providers is Channel 23, but at 5, 6, and 10 o'clock. And Twitter, just find me and look for Richard Scott WVUA. I'm on there and on Facebook, too. So I always try to update weather around here because, Stephen, you guys know things can get pretty crazy here in Alabama.
Yes, absolutely. All right, Bud. Well, we'll do it again this time next week, okay?
All right, guys. See you next week.
Okay,
thanks,
bye-bye.
Yeah, I would say it's very good to hear that Harvey's going to be moving on. I think he's already wore out his welcome.
Yes.
On the
and especially down the coast, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully we can move on so that these people in Houston can start piecing their lives back together that have lost homes, belongings. I've even heard of a couple people have drowned, have died due to the flooding. So, like we said earlier, our thoughts and prayers are out to those people, and we hope that they can start getting their lives back to as normal as they can.
Absolutely. Well, do you want to start the picks now? Because that's the only thing that we have left to do.
It is time for the picks. And
yes.
When we get on here and meet with you guys again, you'll see that we'll have a guest to talk about.
Yes.
One of our beloved fans. So what games do we talk about leading up and climaxing with the Alabama versus FSU game?
And as a matter of fact, college football starts tomorrow night. Can you believe it?
I can't. Well, it started last week.
I know, but there's
a better game. There's a better game tomorrow night, and I'm interested. How improved is Indiana supposed to be? Because people are talking up that Ohio State-Indiana game.
No idea, bud. All right, the first game, like he said, tomorrow night, Ohio State at Indiana at 7 p.m. on ESPN. And, Brian, I don't know about you, but I'm sticking with Ohio State here.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Indiana's got a new coach. They let Kevin Wilson go due to some player mistreatment things, and I'm typing it right now. I'm going on Ohio State's side here. I don't think it'll be that close, that interesting, which I've seen stranger things before.
Right.
But it's the best game on Thursday, so ESPN's picking it up. They'll have a game day type pregame beforehand, and I think this kicks off at 7 Central.
Yes.
Is that right? 8 Eastern. But Ohio State will go to Indiana, and they'll take that one in Bloomington.
But I do believe, based on how some of the big teams played this past weekend, I think it could be close early, don't you?
If Ohio State wants it to be. I think they can nearly name the score in this one. I don't think they'll have a lot of trouble. But I've been wrong before. Ohio State's one of the youngest teams in the country, but they're also one of the most talented teams in the country. Ohio State all day.
Absolutely. Now, of course, there's Arkansas A&M. We're both going to Arkansas on that one.
Arkansas A&M?
Arkansas, Florida A&M. Florida A&M.
It doesn't matter what A&M they're playing this week. Florida State is winning.
No. Arkansas. Arkansas.
Okay, so yeah, I'm taking Arkansas on this one.
All right, now let's move to Friday. And actually, there's not that many good games on Friday either. Now, we do have Washington at Rutgers, 7 p.m. on Fox Sports 1. I'm going with Washington because I'm not big on the Scarlet Knights this year.
Where's that game at?
At Rutgers.
Yeah, it don't matter if it was on Pluto. Washington would win.
Yes.
That's not one that Rutgers won 2 games last year.
Yes.
I believe, and I don't think that's going to change a whole lot this year. An improvement would be winning 4.
Yeah.
The Big Ten is just too tough right now for Rutgers to make any movement towards the top. So you and I once again agree.
All right,
Washington.
Next up is going to be a late game at 8:30 on the CBS Sports Network. Boston College, who has been horrible over in the ACC, and they play up at Northern Illinois, get a little action going. And how do you see that game coming out? Now, I'm actually going with the home team here in Northern Illinois beating a Power 5 team in BC.
This is a game that really I'm probably not going to pay much attention to on the television. But honestly, it's the best game we picked yet because I don't know.
Right.
I'm going to take Boston College.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. They were in a bowl last year. Times have been worse recently. So just to break the monotony and change it up a little bit, let's pick different on one.
Okay.
I don't know much about either team. I'm taking it you don't know what they've got really either. I think this is going to be I don't see the spread, but I guarantee you it's close. It's in single digits.
Yes.
So I'll take Boston College here.
Okay. And another game Friday night we have on the Pac-12 Network. Colorado State, who won last week, now takes on their arch rival, Colorado.
I'm torn on this one.
I'm going Power 5 here. I'm going Colorado.
Colorado State looked so good last week, but it's hard to tell if they're for real because they had Oregon State, who's not doing very well. But man, I tell you, it's at Colorado. I'm gonna go Colorado State for the shock.
Okay.
And if they win this game, I think they will be. Man, how good of a game is that going to be with Allen, Wyoming, and Colorado State? I will watch that game no matter how late it comes on. If these teams are like one loss or undefeated, maybe, I would love to see that game because I think Colorado State and Wyoming are going to battle it out, and the Mountain West has Boise too.
Yes.
So hey, Mountain West has a chance to be a good conference this year, and I think that you'll get enough good wins off of Wyoming, Boise, Colorado State, then you drop down, maybe San Diego State's pretty good as well, that one of these teams may could try, if, they could, theoretically, one of these teams get in the playoff.
Right.
If they're undefeated, but it's still going to be hard. You'll have to have Colorado State would have to start with beating Colorado, and a lot of teams would have to have 2 losses. But, hey, it's going to happen one day.
Let's move to Saturday now, and let's go Maryland at Texas. The Tom Herman era begins out there.
And that was San Jose State, Clayton, that lost to
San Jose State,
San Diego State hasn't played yet.
And the Tom Herman era begins with Texas, and they host Maryland. That is 11 a.m. on Fox Sports Network. Are you going upset?
Maryland?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Okay.
I'm going with Texas on this one. What about you?
I'm
I
going
like Tom Herman. I think that you're going with the
Longhorns. Yeah, I think so.
Hopefully, our friends from the Bell Center tailgate will be drinking lots of jalapeno margaritas and sitting back and enjoying their first win.
Ole Miss is not going to destroy Mississippi State this year, but go ahead.
They'll be sitting back enjoying their margaritas and celebrating the first win of the Tom Herman era.
Now, I will tell you this. If Charlie Strong was still the coach this year, I might go Maryland here.
See, you gave Charlie Strong has had good teams before.
Yeah.
In Louisville.
Yes.
I think, man, you blame Charlie for everything. You thought he was a bad enough coach they were going to lose to San Jose State. And I was like, no, I still think the team's too good.
Right.
Some very poor execution early, though, in that game. But Charlie Strong would be okay.
All right, next up is my upset pick of the week, Wyoming at Iowa on the Big Ten Network. I'm actually going with Wyoming going into Iowa and pulling the upset. And if you will remember, this time last year, North Dakota State went in there and did it. And the North Dakota State coach is now Wyoming's coach.
Yes. That's Craig Bowl.
Yes.
I believe, yes. They just keep churning out the coaches at
North Dakota State.
I'm with Wyoming, too. Go Cowboys. I love the quarterback they've got. Came out of junior college and just surprised everyone. He'll be a senior this year, and people are looking for him to be. He could be the next Carson Wentz, is what they're saying. And he's coached by the same coach that coached Carson Wentz.
Right.
In Bowl. So I'm going Wyoming. I think that Iowa, they're going to have another defeat like last year. You got to feel sorry for those Hawkeyes.
Yeah. Next up is California at North Carolina, and those are two teams nobody knows anything about. But I will tell you this:
Cal's going to be bad.
Yeah, they're going to be really bad this year. I'm going North Carolina at home.
Me too. North Carolina.
Even though I don't know anything about Carolina, just what I'm hearing about California just kind of leads me towards North Carolina.
Yeah. You know, they'll be trying to go for a repeat in basketball. You know,
next up is going to be North Carolina State and South Carolina, and that game is actually going to be at the Bank of America Stadium, and it is going to be 2 p.m. on the ESPN, as a matter of fact. And you know, some people were saying that NC State might actually win or be a sleeper in the ACC. Do you buy that?
Yes, I'm one of those. I picked South Carolina to lose the opener to NC State, but get back and wind up at 6-6. I'm taking NC State. Dave Dorian's been there long enough. You know, it's time to right the ship, or you're going to mess around and get fired.
Yes.
Because he started in 13. After, you know, when Florida State played Northern Illinois and they almost went undefeated, he went all the way to the Orange Bowl, I believe.
Yes.
Dorian's been there a while, so he's got to right the ship. He's at least got to get up to 8-9 wins. Quit messing with these 6-7 win teams. It's time for NC State to come through, and I think they will. I'm taking NC.
You are taking NC State?
Yes, I'm taking them over South Carolina.
You know who I'm taking?
South Carolina.
Ooh! Wolfpack is back, baby!
All right, well, Stingrays.
I'm going NC State.
No
here.
love for the SEC here.
Not yet, no. And next game is going to be Florida and Michigan in Dallas.
Suspension you.
Actually, no, it's not in Dallas. It's in Arlington. My bad.
Well, it's close to the same place.
2:30 ABC. I am going another loss for the SEC. I'm going Michigan because of one reason.
Florida's not going to have a team.
One reason. Antonio Callaway is not on offense. If Antonio Callaway was there, I would pick Florida.
They got another receiver, 2 more players suspended the other day.
Right.
They're just, man.
So, no, I don't think they're going to have enough firepower. Now, the defense is going to be outstanding, but the offense, I don't think gets it done. Do you?
No.
So you're going Michigan?
Unfortunately.
Okay. All right, next up is going to be Nevada at Northwestern. And, you know, a lot of people, including me, were saying that Northwestern could be a sleeper in the Big Ten. What are your thoughts on that?
I think they can, just because of their division. They're in the division opposite Ohio State, Michigan.
Right, and they don't get either one of those teams this year.
Yes,
unless of course they would play them in the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, that'll help them a lot. Nevada, they're going to be starting.
Now let me ask you this. Somebody just asked, isn't Michigan returning or losing a lot on defense?
Oh, yeah. They only have one starter coming back. But I think they've recruited well enough. There'll be some growing pains. But see, Callaway, all these guys are suspended for Florida. So the defense isn't going to have as hard of a time. I think Michigan will be – I still think this will be a close game. But it's one of the more interesting games because Michigan loses so much and Florida loses so much due to suspension. So we'll just see how that shakes out. But going back to the Nevada at Northwestern game, Nevada's going to have a new starter at quarterback, and that's going to be Bama transfer David Cornwell.
Really?
Yes, he has a graduate transfer, and he won the job there.
Okay.
So Cornwell will be playing for Nevada.
Who do you have?
Northwestern.
Okay.
They have one of the best running backs in the nation. I think that they're going to get it done. Cornwell will not have a good opening game, but you know they're another team, and I'm not interested in that game for anything except for that, to watch and see how Cornwell plays.
Right.
I always follow the Bama quarterbacks, and obviously we've had a plethora of them transfer. And whether I'm rooting for them or against them, in Barnett's case, that left mid-season, I think that they all put us in a tight situation, losing 3. But I respect the ones more that did it the right way and stayed, waited out the year. Almost got another championship ring, but didn't. So we're both taking Northwestern?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, now, Brian, you know me. I would not pick this game, but, dude, this is happy days for the city of Birmingham as they open back up UAB, and their football team is back, and now they are inviting in Alabama A&M. Whoo!
You know how tempted I am to pick A&M.
I know.
This is a team that hadn't had a football team.
I know, but man, now usually we would not pick something like that, but we have to for UAB because I don't know about you, but I am really happy for the city of Birmingham and of course UAB that they were able to get football back.
I'm going to go to a game this year.
Are you happy that they're back though?
I am. I grew up going to their games occasionally because my mom or someone would get tickets from work because they work for UAB or something, and they would give them tickets, and it was free. And a lot of the time they played on Thursday night. I remember going to see in like '98 to see them play Virginia Tech on a Thursday night. And I was so pumped because Virginia Tech was like a good team that was coming to Birmingham.
Clayton said he's happy that they're coming back. One more win for Southern Miss.
We'll see about that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Blaze
all right.
is strong here.
Hey, by the way,
I'm picking UAB, but I'm tempted to pick. Don't be surprised if Alabama A&M comes in and wins that game. If Alabama A&M had a better team, which I don't think they're going to this year, I don't think they're going to. If this was Alabama State now or somebody, maybe a little tougher, but I don't think Alabama A&M is going to compete for a SWAC championship this year. So I'm going to take UAB.
All right. Well, you know the only reason I'm doing this, Brian, is because Eastern Washington has been in the playoffs so many times, and they are a dangerous team like North Dakota State. And now they go into Lubbock where Texas Tech is kind of reeling a little bit because they have a new guy at quarterback and their defense is not that good. Any chance Eastern Washington pulls the upset?
It's going to be very close, and I think Eastern Washington will lead late.
Right.
I'm taking Texas Tech 62-51. They will still not have a defense.
I'm actually going with Texas Tech too, but don't be surprised about Eastern Washington if they go in and win that game. All right, next up is going to be Kentucky at Southern Miss, 3 p.m. on the CBS Sports Network. Man, what are your thoughts on that? Last year Kentucky got out to an outstanding start and led 24-0, and then let Southern Miss come all the way back and just pummel them in the second half.
It's not going to happen again. No suit for you, Clayton. But, I think that it's going to be a good game. Southern Miss is going to – I don't know that they'll be improved on last year, but I think just because you lose Mullins, but I think they're going to be good. But I think Kentucky's just turning the corner.
They led 35-10 at the half.
How do you blow that?
I don't know.
Ask Ole Miss.
Yeah.
They blew 2 games like that last year.
But
yeah, I'm taking Southern Miss is at home this year, but they won up in the Bluegrass State last year. I like Kentucky to get revenge, unfortunately, for Southern Miss fans, and I'm going to go with the Wildcats.
Southern Miss to the top, all I got to say.
Ooh. You got some Mississippi love.
Yeah, I do. I really do. I've been talking with my buddy Keith down there.
So
I feel like they're going to be really maybe. Conference USA championship is definitely in the cards for them. All right, next up is going to be Mississippi State and blah 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 blah. We don't have to put that one down. I think both of us are going to pick Mississippi State.
Yes.
Okay.
No explanation on that one.
Yeah. Let's
Unless
see.
something happens that happened last year.
Right. Do you want to pick App State, Georgia, or you just want to say Georgia?
I'm going to take Georgia, but I don't think that one's cut and dry. I mean, App State's pretty good.
Right.
Yeah, look what they did to Tennessee last year.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to be even better this year. I'm taking Georgia. We don't have to pick it.
Right.
I'm going we just did pick it, but I don't have to record the score.
Yes.
But I think it's going to be tougher than expected, but Georgia will just have too much.
Yes. All right, next up is Georgia Southern, Auburn. I guess we'll just both go Auburn here. Don't have to put it down.
For Stidham Fest.
Yeah. Louisville at Purdue. And actually, some people were saying Purdue could be a better team this year, but no, I'm actually going with Louisville.
You've got Brom, has some ties to Louisville there. I think it was, is it Brian Brom? Yeah, he has more than ties. He was the quarterback there.
Right.
At Louisville under Petrino back in the early 2000s. And he is the Purdue head coach now by way of Western Kentucky. I don't think he gets it done.
No.
I'm taking Louisville.
Yeah.
The student will not beat his master.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Louisville.
And Clayton said Purdue by 20. I'm sorry, Louisville by 20.
Louisville by 20.
Yeah, I believe that too. That's going to get out of hand. And by the way, Purdue
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about him. Why is nobody talking about Lamar
Because
Jackson?
Kentucky Kentucky exposed.
And LSU did.
They exposed him unbelievably. Which, by the way, the Louisville defensive coordinator is now our defensive coordinator at.
I'm listening.
At Mississippi State. So yeah.
Okay.
All right, next up is going to be South Alabama at Ole Miss. Any chance of an upset here?
What the hell? Go South Alabama.
I think I will too. I think I'll go South Alabama on that one.
I'm probably going to eat crow on this one, but I'll take it. South Alabama's going to beat them.
Yes. So
and everybody will be like, well, I didn't think it could happen 2 years in a row. The South Alabama could beat a Mississippi school. And then they do.
We're picking that one last.
Okay.
So
Abilene Christian.
No. All right. Here's one that is an in-state rivalry that we actually talked with Andy with the other day. Middle Tennessee hosts Vanderbilt. on the CBS Sports Network at 7 o'clock. I'm going to let you take this one first.
I'm going with Middle Tennessee.
Really?
Boy, we sure are piling up some SEC losses, aren't we?
Wow.
I got Kentucky, but I like Middle Tennessee this year. I think Vandy's going to regress from last year. I think I said 4-8, 5-7. They'll be down there on the bottom. I don't think they're as good as they finished last year, but I mean, this is going to be a tough one to call. But it's at Middle Tennessee, and I think they'll win at home.
I do believe that as well. I'm actually going with Middle Tennessee.
This is going to be a tough week for some SEC teams. I think you're going to see some lose to power opponents, and I think you're going to see some lose to teams that you may not have thought they should. Because every SEC team, if they're playing, it's outside of Mississippi State and Auburn, play cupcakes that are FCS. But
Missouri plays a cupcake.
Yeah, well, they don't matter.
Okay.
Just kidding. But outside of every team that's playing a group of 6 teams, not playing a bad one.
Right.
You know, Middle Tennessee's not bad. South Alabama's not bad. You know, so App State's not bad. So you got to look at that when you say we all picking all the SEC teams.
Is Missouri still in the SEC, Clayton?
They are. Yes.
Yeah, but they're in the.
We're waiting on them to get good at basketball again. It just hasn't happened.
They're in the bad East.
Somebody said the other day, one of my friends is like, man, the whole reason we got them is for academics and basketball. Now they're the worst team in basketball. Can't we send them back?
Yeah.
You know.
All right, let's go. The last game that we're going to do for Saturday is going to be BYU versus LSU, which has now been moved to New Orleans.
That's more of an advantage for LSU.
Yeah.
LSU rolls in this one, 49-17. The way BYU looked last week, the SEC will not be upended in this one. I'm taking LSU all day in the Superdome.
Yep, go Tigers. LSU. All right, man. Well, let's go, obviously, to the Sunday matchups. And we have 2 really good games, I think. The first one is going to be West Virginia versus Virginia Tech, 6:30 on ABC. I'm going with the Hokies. And they're my sleeper team in the ACC this year.
Ooh. I'm going to go with the Hokies, too. No, I don't know a lot about each of these schools, but I'm going to go ahead and take Virginia Tech. I love the coach. Think he's going to do great things after coming over from Memphis.
Yes.
All day, Virginia Tech.
All right. Next up is this is going to be interesting. A&M at UCLA in Pasadena, 8:30 on Fox. It's not on ABC. It's not on ESPN. It's being picked up by Fox.
That's because I think that
since
it's out there, they've got the rights to that game.
Yeah, and that's odd, isn't it?
Yeah, Big 12 and the Pac-12 has the Fox networks.
And, some people have UCLA being the sleeper in the Pac-12.
Yeah. They get Rosen back if he stays healthy. Now, a sleeper means they might tease a little bit, but I don't think they're going to win anything.
Right.
I said A&M would get past this one earlier and their troubles would start later. But I'm not buying the recent trend of A&M starting strong and going down late. I just have a feeling. I'm changing my mind from last week when we did the A&M preview. I think that Monday morning on Labor Day, we'll be tuning in to some radio shows if they're still having. They may not start till Tuesday this week. But this week, Monday morning, we will see the television shows, radio, talking about how big of trouble Sumlin's in, because I think they're going to go out to Pasadena and get beat.
Man.
But I don't think he's going to get fired after one game.
Right.
If he's fired after one game, he should have done it last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that I'm taking UCLA, and another loss for the SEC.
Gig 'em. Aggies on the road.
You still like him to get fired?
I do, but not the first game of the year, man. I think they're too talented.
Okay.
All
Maybe.
right. Then we go to Monday night, and this game is actually in Atlanta again, and it is Tennessee versus Georgia Tech. And you do not know what Tennessee has at quarterback. You do not know what Tennessee has at defense. I'm going Rambling Wreck of Georgia Tech in Atlanta, home crowd.
And a hell of an engineer.
Yep. I'm going with Georgia Tech here. You're probably going Tennessee.
I'm going Tennessee.
Okay.
On this one, yeah. I'm going to take the balls on Monday night so that I can give the SEC a little bit of love here.
Yes.
And I'm about to give them some more.
All right. And finally, the game of the week picked by a bunch of people, and the tickets are outrageous on this one.
You got a new stadium. You got a central location that's really close for Bama and FSU fans. It's the season opener. It's 1 versus 3. It's the perfect storm for one of the most expensive.
It's this versus Roll Tide. So Alabama, Florida State. Yeah. Alabama, Florida State, ABC, 7 o'clock in Atlanta. Let me guess. You're going Alabama, right? And you've got to give me a score prediction.
I'm going to say Bama wins 24-23.
A field goal?
Touchdown.
Oh.
Not at the last minute. We know we can't make field goals. So if we win on a field goal, it better be a chip shot. I think that Bama is down enough. They have to have a touchdown to win it, and it's within the last few minutes. This is going to be a good one. People are doubting me. They're doubting, thinking it's going to be a 14-point. I think FSU's going to cover the spread.
You think so?
I think this is going to be one of those openers. Bama's not had one. We've usually sailed easy in openers. I think it's going to be a tough one.
Right.
Just like I said the other day, if we keep going, or the other year, if we keep going to these national title games, we're not going to skate by. First 3, we never had a close title game. Texas,
right.
Notre Dame, LSU. Then comes Clemson. Ooh, we got a tough one. Then I said, one of these days we're going to lose one of these title games. Same thing with this one. One of these days we're going to lose one of these openers.
Right.
Could be this week. I don't think it is, but I think Bama just barely squeaks by, and everybody lets out a sigh of relief and has to take their blood pressure medicine afterwards.
Wow.
Because this is going to be tough.
Okay, here we go. I have picked when Alabama faced Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech's going to win. They lost. When Alabama played Michigan and Denard Robinson's going to win. They lost. When they played Wisconsin, Bama's going to win. They lost. One more. Last year, USC. USC's going to beat Alabama. They lost. Not doing it again. I'm going Alabama wins this game.
Okay.
Because they've done it so much,
They
Brian,
win the openers.
They've done it so much. I'm one of those guys that's like, I'll believe it when I see it now.
But I think this one's going to be a lot tougher than the openers, just because Florida State's going to be ready. Jimbo knows the defense to say, but he's coached with him.
Yes.
Albeit it's been a while, but
Right.
Saban ain't changed much. So this is going to be a good one. I think this is going to be the closest Saban comes to losing to one of his assistants. He might get beat.
Yeah.
Because Jimbo is also the more senior of his assistants. He's the only
Yes.
one with a national title.
Yes.
So this one's not. Little brother's grown up in this one.
Yeah.
It's not Kirby Smart. It's not McElwain. Little brother's grown up. So this is going to be a fight.
Total of 10 players gone now for the Michigan game.
How many? Will they have a team
They
by
had
Saturday?
7. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, they had 2 more gone the other day, I think. But I have someone before we go that we need to sing happy birthday to.
Who?
My mother.
Really?
Yes, my mom's birthday today. Don't think she wants me to tell how old she is.
No, probably
let's
not.
sing a
She'll probably wring your neck if you did.
Yeah. Let's sing a happy birthday because she's like, you better give me a shout out.
Okay.
So, all right.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, dear mother.
Happy birthday to you. All right. Well, that's going to do it, guys.
Thank y'all. It's been a great show.
And did you enjoy it, though?
Oh, man. This has been the best one.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we're going to leave you with that. And until next time, we're going to leave you with this really, really good theme song that we have. Hail State.
Roll Tide.
And God bless. See you next week.